Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you have a great and wonderful day. Well, it seems that there are churches now. There's a black community in Boston trying to ask for reparations. Yeah, I know. We're doing the reparations thing again, which is unfortunate because I figured we would be past this by now, but I guess not. I guess there are greedy black people that really feel that they need to steal other people's money so they can enrich themselves. Because that's really all that is. You really want money for what reason? You know, there's many other ways to benefit yourself and make you go yourself higher in society than by asking for free money because you're a soulless demon. So, without further ado, this is the clip of them, kind of begging for that money they so desperately want.
Studying how Boston might enact reparations for its black residents continues its work. One local group is calling for churches to support the fight for reparations. As WBZ's Paul Burton reports, they're asking for a payout in the billions.
So we call on the white church in Boston to join us in supporting a black reparations movement.
Standing in solidarity, clergy leaders from across the city of Boston gathered for an interfaith, multiracial meeting at the Resurrection Lutheran Church in Roxbury, Nubian Square. They're here to ask the religious community to atone for black Boston suffering and support black reparations.
And we are coming, as Dr. King said, to get our check.
Organizers from the Boston People's Reparation Commission say they're also following up on their demand on the city of Boston for a $15 billion initial payout to begin the process towards repair and reconciliation to the city.
These people are asking for $13 billion. $13 bloody billion. That doesn't even make even iota amount of sense. So what we're going to do here is just do a little bit of research, do a little bit of actual accounting and money of how much Boston actually makes as a revenue, and then we might take it out from the amount of white people in that actual place, and then we're going to take it from the actual black people, and then we're just going to do those two people there. Because again, we have to do actual money or actual percentage here of how much the people are getting, how much the actual city is getting, and how much you're going to actually cut that off, so that way you can see how they're possibly going to get that kind of money in the first place. So, let's put this in perspective here. So, as we see this, is that the projection was set at $40.41 billion, which is at a 1.6 increase over the projected fiscal 2023 revenue projection. So, they make essentially, how much money does it make? It makes about, a budget includes $3.9 billion in recurring revenue and $80 million in non-recurring revenue. So even if we want to go with this here, right? If we, their actual revenue is $40 billion. Okay, this is the high end, right? This is the high end of their actual total revenue. If we want to say how much that they're making. If we're gonna go with the budget that includes around $4 billion. They're already asking about almost practically 4 times the amount of money that is even in their actual budget. Their budget. That's insane. And $1 million in non-recurring revenue. So, their side as well. So, if you're going to take this. Now, we have this here. And we have the estimate of population estimates of July 1st, 2023. We have the actual size for people that are hard to see. I will blow this up. The actual size of white alone percent is 48%, and then black or African American alone percent is 22.5%. Okay, so let's just put this in perspective here. All right, let's just put this in perspective. 48% are white, 22% are black, and then we have all these other races or what have you, which we're not even going to count that, right? So you have 48% people that are actually white, and 22% people are black, and then the rest fills it in. That just means that amount of people is making $40 billion, all right? That means all these people are making $40 billion, the entire city, right? If we remove essentially almost half of that from the actual estimate, how in the bloody hell are you going to be able to even do $15 billion? Do you even think that's even remotely possible at all for them to pay this? Let it sink in first. How are they going to pay for this? And if you want to say religious, by the way, religious people that are here, you are even subtracting that percentage even lower. Because if you're expecting that all 48% of those people are religious, I hate to break it to you, bud, but that's not reality. So let's just say it's the high end of people being religious. 30%. You still ain't gonna make that $15 billion. And that's just being on the high end of people. If it's less than the actual 30% of people being religious, which would be just white people, then that would mean that you're getting, as it gets lower and lower and lower with the amount of percentage that you're getting, that just means you're not going to be able to pay that hardly at all. And you're asking for $15 billion. These people can't pay for it. And now, let's add to the other thing after you hear the actual amount they want to be paid in full first, because they're also idiots. Well, again,
$5 billion as initial payment around cash payouts, $5 billion around strengthening our financial institutions, creating a new black bank, $5 billion in terms of addressing issues of the education achievement gap between blacks and whites.
You guys want $5 billion in initial payments. $5 billion. Okay, so again, I'm going to show you guys exactly. Let's just go down here, right? How much money does Boston generate? $3.9 billion in recurring revenue and $80 million in non-recurring revenue. So this is what this is showing here, right here, right? So, again, even if we go with this is for 2022, this is 2023, so what have you. If we're going to go with this, and this is the actual estimate of them, they're asking for over $1 billion of actual, or about $1 billion of something that the city does not actually generate. So, again, I'm just going off of what I'm seeing here, that the state is going worth $40 billion. So if the city worth $4 billion, so if it's actually $40 billion, then it's $40 billion. But if it's with the this here, the $4 billion here, if that's their actual revenue, then there's no way that there's nobody in can even remotely come close to paying this. You would need everybody to pay for this. Not only that, you will most likely and most definitely bankrupt the city. And on top of that, for the people that you would want them to pay those reparations, do you realize on how much you'll be putting these people in jeopardy, by the way, by just doing this? How much money do you think people have to pay on top of this reparation for you greedy black people? How much money do you think they have to pay to actually pay that much for their percentage amount of people? Because, again, if you're talking for the religious group of people, the religious ones, then they are going to have to pay a huge amount of money. A huge amount of money. Because there's no way they can reach the $5 billion. There's no way they can reach the $15 billion. So you're asking almost everybody to probably pay such a ludicrous amount of money that there's no way it's even remotely feasible for them to do. These people will be living on the streets homeless. You certainly want people to be living on the streets. Now, you could say, okay, you want $5 billion over the course of X amount of years. Well, even still, you're forcing one group of people, one group of race people that had nothing to do with that happened to you black people years ago. It's not even years ago. A century ago, even. It's practically over a century. Because they had nothing to do with this. You could probably say you may be able to get away with like 50, 60 years ago if you want to say for, not the slavery, but maybe for racism. Sure. You may be able to get away with that. And I'm not even going to go for that because that's just ludicrous. Because the people that are born today, as of the martyr kids, anybody that's Gen Z, or whatever you want to put them under some type of stupid generation, has not been even a part of that racism. So that would even fall in line there. So you want essentially white people to be homeless. That's what you are asking for, regardless of the situation. These people can't pay this. It is not feasible for them to pay this. All you guys want free money, and you are being very selfish and a piece of garbage for wanting this. I'm sorry. Oh no, what? You know what? I'm not even remotely sorry. It's disgusting that you people want this type of thing, and it mind boggles me. These are not black people, by the way. I don't even label these people as black. They're parasites on everybody, and they're the actual racists here.
In 2022, the Boston City Council and Mayor Michelle Wu offered an official apology for the city's involvement in the transatlantic slave trade. She also launched 2 task force research teams to study Boston's role in slavery and its long impact on descendants.
So we still suffer from the trauma of those instances, and even today, dealing with racism.
What are you dealing with exactly? I want to know. Let's go target the first person here. The woman that is saying, oh, because you're sorry for the slave trade or whatever. It's long over, lady. It's gone. It's no longer a problem. This is not an issue with the slave trade. The slave trade is over. First, it was Europe, the very first people to actually stop the slave trade. Then America was the second. And then we haven't had slavery in I don't know how many decades. Or centuries, even. Again, this is ludicrous to even think that this is a problem. We, white people, or anybody for that matter, should not have to pay for something that they had no part in whatsoever. And then you're going to say, what problems are you having even today? You have to label these problems. Because I guarantee you, you can't put up with it. Oh, and then let's tell her the racism thing. You do realize how low racism is? If anything, it's actually black people being the most racist today. White people are actually getting discriminated against from like these companies not wanting to hire white people and all this other stuff. So if anything, if we want to talk racism here, it's technically the black people that are being the most racist towards the white people. Because you want these white people living on the streets. It's ludicrous to me that you guys even remotely bring up this proposition. It's insane.
On Saturday, this group called on the white church in Boston to support the black community for its association in slavery.
Today we call upon this city, its financiers, and its white churches to stop the shirking, stop the lying, tell the truth, and pay what is owed.
Organizers say the next step is to engage in conversation with white church leadership directly and find a process to help the black community. In Boston, I'm Paul Burton, WBZ News.
Okay, so we're going to do something here and see on how much this church is actually worth, right? So let's go here. Oh, what's this? It says around or below around $5 million is the actual revenue for this church. You ain't nowhere near that amount of money. So that is actually going to show on like how many people actually go to this church. So if there's 25 employees, the church is worth $5 million, which is its revenue, then you need to start realizing here that the people that go to your church doesn't have the money to do this. And if you want to go with your with these religious people you say, they're not going to cover the $5 billion, let alone the $15 billion. This guy is a lunatic. He's insane. They're all insane. They don't know economics. They don't know how money works. They don't know the demographic of their people. They don't know the population size. They don't know nothing. The only thing that they want is to look like they're doing a good job, like they care about black people, when in reality they're just greedy other efforts, just trying to make a quick buck and hurt the white people in some kind of way. That's all I'm getting from this. That's right. So, yeah, this church, this community, this group of black people, that I wouldn't even going to label black people, they're something else entirely, that want to ruin a bunch of white people's lives and want just free money because they just don't want to work. That's pretty much what I'm getting at here. Go after yourselves, honestly. I don't like you guys. So, that's the case that's happening here. So, please, that's the news. All right? Well, what a chaotic world we live in, huh? Reparations. Gotta love it. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, subscribe, share. As always, take care. Don't pay those reparations now, white people.
I'm disgusted by what I see in public. Even people closest to us can't be trusted, 'cause it's algorithmic disease, the social media.